Hi, and welcome to Matt Holman Talks Mental Health, the podcast where I have the opportunity to sit down and chat with amazing humans about their journeys with mental health. For this episode, I'm so happy to introduce Emmanuelle to the conversation. Welcome, Emmanuelle.
Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for having me.
You're more than welcome. So as always, just a brief introduction. I'll explain how we got to this conversation. I'll let you do a proper introduction, let people know who you are and what you do. But Emmanuelle and I have some mutual contacts, I think, through social media. And one of them in particular, Aurélie, put us in touch with each other, knowing that we're both in this space of well-being, mental health, and we're both very passionate about this subject. So it was the perfect connection. I love the opportunity to sit down and chat to anybody about these conversations, of course, especially around this subject of mental health. So Emmanuelle, I'll let you do a proper introduction. Let us know all about you, who you are.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So my name is Emmanuelle Roslyj. That's how you pronounce my family name, by the way. I work as a business development representative in an employee well-being company called Better Space. But my passion for well-being and mental health started long years ago. Actually, it's been something I've always been interested with, and I'm sure we'll come to that. I tried to create my own content around well-being, and I'm just really passionate about it. I'm just passionate about all the things you can do to improve your well-being. Short introduction.
There you go. That's all it needs, just to let people know a little bit about yourself. And you come from France but live in London at the moment?
I do, yeah. I am French. I live in London. I've been living here for about 2.5 years now.
Okay.
So I kind of discovered London during COVID, which is an interesting experience.
Yeah, interesting.
But love living here. Really love it.
Brilliant. Well, welcome. So great to have you on this conversation. As always, just a simple question to start the conversation. Your journey with mental health, you define what that looks like. Tell us a story. Tell us a bit more about you, who you are, who Emmanuelle is.
Yeah. So my journey with mental health and well-being started quite a long time ago. I guess probably when I was 13, around that age, so quite young. And the reason is I suddenly started going through cycles of depression. That's kind of how I call it. Not that it's a very scientific name, but that's how I, decided to call it.
Yep.
A bit unexplained. It just kept coming back, where I would go into phases where I would really struggle with my mental health.
Yep.
And I was always like, oh, well, I'm a teenager, so everyone is living the same thing, because you're a teenager, everyone struggles. And then I wasn't a teenager anymore, and it just kept happening again and again. And I wasn't really dealing with it, and it led me to some eating disorder issues, until the point where I really had to do something about it and face that I wasn't a teenager anymore, and it's not normal to go through that. Right. And I think the moment where I really I had a shock was when I started working, because I struggled even more with my mental health, and I struggled a lot with balance, and I just exploded. I don't know if we could say I had a burnout, but I exploded. I just couldn't handle working so much and not taking care of myself. And the problem with balance came from a good place. I was really passionate about what I was doing. And then when I turned around and asked for help, I realized most people around me didn't know what to do. And then I thought, okay, so what do I do now?
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, okay, well, maybe I should do something about it. And the moment when I realized that actually I could do something about it, everything changed. So in my own experience, I started learning more about my own mental health and well-being with meditation.
Okay.
Really how suddenly I became aware of my issues, and it really helped me become more aware. And suddenly I had a tool that was actually helping me, and it was the first thing and the most important thing. And after that, I became more and more interested in meditation. I studied nutrition to help myself with my eating disorder issues. I went to therapy. I tried lots of things.
Yep.
And everything changed from that time because I felt empowered. And I really feel like it's that empowerment that can make you better if you have issues. Because I realized when I was having issues and I was not really dealing with it, I really had a victim mindset. I just accepted. I just told myself, well, this is who I am. I'm someone with depression. This is me. And nothing's ever going to change. And forever, I'm going to have depression, and I'm going to wake up in the morning thinking, okay, am I going to kill myself today? And with those new tools that I discovered, I realized that, oh, actually, no, I'm feeling a bit better. I'm not top of the top.
Yeah, of course.
But I do see a difference. Yeah. And I feel empowered, and I took ownership of it. And I decided to, see this part of myself as just one part and not my entire person. Okay, maybe I have depression, but it's not who I am, because if you know me, I'm a joyful person.
Yeah.
Actually, most people didn't realize that I lost a lot of weight and I was depressed, because I'm also a joyful person.
Yeah.
And I can work on that, I can explore that. And it became really interesting because I started thinking of all the different tools that I could use to help myself. So like I said, meditation was one of them. Going to nutrition classes was one of them, but music as well, for example, because I played piano. I started playing piano maybe when I was 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
So I played piano for years and years, and I thought, it's interesting. Can it help me with my mental health? And I started going into sessions of playing piano and trying to express the pain through music. And it was helping, I'm not saying it was curing everything, but it was helping. And yeah, I really had that feeling of I am in control of what I can be in control of. And I celebrate the beauty of this issue that I have, because thanks to that, I am discovering so many things. And I've been on this journey since, and it's like I was reborn, because I discovered so many things about myself. And I discovered so many beautiful things about myself. It made me really, really love myself. And I really think self-love is probably the most important thing to learn when you struggle. And even, no, just in life in general, not even when you struggle. And when I look back, I'm so proud, because there were moments where I'm thinking, well, I'm lucky I'm still alive. Right. But I celebrate the fact that I've been through that, and thanks to that, well, I know so much about myself, and I know so much about others as well, because it makes you understand people as well a lot. Sure. And my passion just never stopped. And here I am today, doing a meaningful job, trying to help other people as well. Yeah. And I think for me, the message is, taking care of your well-being is an opportunity to feel empowered and beautiful. And if you don't get that right, not that I like the concept of right or wrong, but if you don't take care of that, nothing else will matter in life, I think. So yeah, that's my journey.
Wow, an interesting one. And I'm going to touch on a few of those points, if that's okay. We go back and sort of explore a few of those moments that you've been through, and I hope you're okay to do that. But fascinating, and thank you so much for sharing and being so open and honest. And that's what I love about this is the authenticity that people give, and sharing their stories, and being just saying, this is who I am, this is the experience I've been through. There's no shame in any of that. And actually, we are proud of the fact that everybody can do that, and and that you've done that. So thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that. I'd like to go back to when you were younger, if that's okay. Just a few thoughts around that. When you were in your those teen years, and I know a lot of people listening to this may have others around them who are teens, and young people, of course, are experiencing a few challenges at the moment with connections and the challenges we know. What was going on in your mind? What were you feeling? Because you didn't feel that it was right, but you just thought it was teen things. Can you explain a little bit more about what the thoughts were like?
I think what I was feeling really deep inside was loneliness.
Right.
there's the feeling of loneliness, despite being surrounded by family, friends, normal life.
Yeah.
But loneliness, deep down loneliness. And also, I mean, maybe that's also my story, my personality. I didn't talk about it either.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't talk about it. You can explain it by lots of different reasons, but truth is, I didn't talk about it, and I was just feeling so lonely. And it was a weird feeling, because it was as if life didn't matter.
Right.
Now that I say it now, and I'm completely different now, I think it's so crazy to say that, but at that time, this is exactly what was going through my mind. Like, life doesn't really matter, as if something else could matter. I don't know, it's so weird. And yeah, I guess I was feeling very, very lonely, and issues that come out of it, like an eating disorder issues, which I know is also an issues that a lot of young people have, is a cry for help. For me, it was a cry for help, to say, I need help, but I'm not able to talk about it. I'm not able to, take my people and say, I need help, please. I wasn't able to talk about it. It was easier to stop eating, to ask for help, rather than asking for help. And I think it would be really awesome if we can teach that to younger generations, that it's okay to ask for help, even if it's not your parents, even if it's not your closest friends, but it's okay to ask for help. Because I didn't know that. But you don't know.
Yeah. It's the awareness element, though, isn't it? You probably at that time weren't aware of the reality of what was really happening necessarily.
Yeah, and you're not very mature either.
No.
You listen to rock bands, and you just all that matters is who is dating who at high school. You're not very mature. No.
Other music genres are available as well, not just rock bands. But it is fascinating, because it's such a young age, of course, to be experiencing those feelings, and they're worrying feelings. Of course they are. It's not a nice thought for somebody so young to be struggling with depression. What age were you when you sort of came out of that sort of mindset? Because there was that change, and that's something I'm really fascinated by, is at what point or how did that sort of trigger something that said, I need to change this?
I think it started in my early 20s.
Okay.
That's when it's a bit funny, because it's like I started the change without being aware that I was changing.
Okay.
Because when I started meditating, it kind of happened. It's not that I was looking for something. It just kind of happened. It's more like meditation met me rather than I met meditation.
Right.
And I started changing. And then suddenly I was like, whoa, what am I doing? It's great.
Okay. Right. Okay.
But this being said, though, and I don't want to be pessimistic.
Yeah.
The thoughts of life doesn't matter, and I'd rather die anyway, they lasted much longer than as soon as I started taking care of my well-being, because it's a deep issue. So it's not like you broke your arm, doctor, whatever, and you're fine. It's a deep issue, so it can take time, and I hope no one gets discouraged by the time that it takes. And sometimes it gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
But it does get better.
Yeah. Well, look.
Find that.
There you go. Look at you now. You're glowing. It's amazing, and glowing because it's so hot today. Well, we're recording this, of course, but we knew this was going to happen, right? But it is so important, and I'm finding this fascinating, because it's that. So, where did meditation come from? Where did that come from for you, though? Was it somebody said, "Oh, have you thought about meditation?" Or was it just something you read about, or something you found out about? I don't know. Tell me.
It actually came through work, because at that time I was sales manager for Virgin Atlantic in France. And I think it was 2016, they had a partnership, or they still have, I guess, a partnership with Headspace, the meditation app.
Okay. Yep.
And I thought, oh, I don't know what it is. Like, I literally had never heard of meditation before.
Yep.
And I looked at it and I thought, oh, that's cool. And I decided to organize an event and invite travel agents and organize a meditation class to celebrate the launch of this partnership. It was business stuff, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But then I downloaded the app because I was curious about what it was, and I tried it. And I just never stopped after that. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah.
And I just thought this is interesting. Obviously, I had lots of misconception about what it could be. So I was really curious about, you know, learning what it was actually. And I practiced for 3 months every day, a little bit. And it's so weird what I'm going to say, but food started tasting better.
Right. Okay.
And I remember this scene where I was having lunch with my colleagues one day, and I had a homemade salad, and I'm not a good cook, you know, so nothing that I make is really exciting.
Yeah.
But I had a salad and we were chatting, and I was just focusing on eating my salad, and suddenly I was like, oh my God, it tastes so good. And everyone looked at me like, it's just a salad. What are you talking about? And I was like, no, you should taste this. It's so good. And then everyone tasted and everyone's like, it's a salad.
Yeah.
And then I eat dinner at night and I have the same thing again. And it never really stopped. It's like as if I was discovering food.
Wow.
So crazy. And then I just became more aware of, you know, feelings coming up. So for example, when I would have some special negative thought pattern, which would lead me to darker thoughts and darker thoughts, suddenly I was aware of it and I was realizing, oh, this is happening. Okay, take it easy. Let's not do that. You know, let's try to find something to stop that and do something healthier. And it just helped me, you know.
Incredible. I just find it fascinating, and then connecting it to that point where something changed, that Headspace, the app, you know, obviously other apps are available out there as well. There are many good apps for you know, for mindfulness and meditation, and then taking care of so many different areas of that. That journey to start from that, it's incredible. And then you went on a more, you know, you've educated yourself more around nutrition and bringing that into why did you go down the nutrition route? I know you mentioned about your eating disorder or your challenges with eating.
Yeah.
I think that was, you know, really a focal point for you, something you needed to address.
Yeah, it was very important for me because so I mean, I guess the eating disorder is more related to mental issues, which, you know, I dealt with in another way than learning nutrition.
Yep.
But because of those issues, I ended up having a lot of IBS issues.
Okay. Yep.
As it sounds.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was just so tired of it. And I was like, I want to understand what I'm supposed to do with food because I have zero knowledge about it.
Yeah.
School doesn't teach you anything about it, which is crazy because it's so important. And I want to learn how I'm going to feed myself in the best way I can without any pressure. You know, I didn't become obsessed with it, but I thought I want to learn because I'm eating every day. Yeah. And I know the impact it has on me. Like if I'm not eating well, you know I will have problems, and everything's connected, you know, the mind, the body, everything is connected. So I really wanted to learn. So I went to the class, not to become a nutritionist or anything, but I wanted to have a deep understanding of how the digestive system works and what I can do to feed myself and somehow show myself love through food.
Yeah.
And also repair that connection, that bad connection I had with food. And it was really helpful. I really care about it. I've noticed how much I care about what I eat.
Yeah.
Again, not in an obsessive way, because sometimes people go to the opposite route and become obsessed about being healthy, which is not a great thing either. But more about being aware of what do I need? What does my body need? How does it affect me? It's been so interesting, really.
Fascinating. Yeah. Well, you know, you've obviously got a much greater awareness and lots of people around the sort of the things you do, the way that you work, the things that you need to make you feel, you know, happier and on that journey and pathway to wherever it is that you want to go with it. Right. It's absolutely fascinating. I'm loving hearing your story and your journey. I do just want to touch on one thing. Might be going back a little bit actually, but it's just around relationships. and obviously as you're going through some of those teenage relationships, those challenges, did you have people close to you? Did you push people away? I know you said you had family and friends around, but how were those relationships? Did anybody really notice what was going on with you?
No, so it was
that's all right. Break the window.
I live a bit up high, so I have a lot of wind.
That's wind outside, by the way, just in case people yeah. The window just knocked the wall. There we go.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I had good friendship, and I had really good relationship with my family as well.
Yeah.
But no one ever noticed that I had issues.
Right.
Because when you have issues, you're sometimes really good at hiding it, and I was really good at hiding it. And there were a few times where I tried to speak to friends, and friends were supportive, but there is a limit, because especially when you're young, you know, your friends might not know how to help. They might not realize how big of a problem it is. They can't take ownership for your problems either, you know. Yeah. You can't just rely on everyone, because it's a bit unfair for them. In my particular case, I wasn't good at sharing. I didn't push people away, but I didn't let most people in my vulnerable circle.
Yeah.
So I can't say, well, no one helped me, whatever, because I didn't ask for it. You know, I never told my parents. I just couldn't show my vulnerability. And it really didn't help me because it kind of strengthened that feeling of loneliness, I guess.
Yeah.
But relationships are very important because of these issues, and because I wasn't dealing with these issues, I had a few bad relationships, because you get bad at setting boundaries. You kind of lose your identity a little bit. You're easy to manipulate. You're trying to fit in, but you don't fit in, so you're always unwell. You know, the relationships play a big part in the mental health journey, in both good ways and bad ways.
Yep.
In my particular case, I feel like they were not really helpful for me because I didn't let them in.
Yeah.
Because I was too scared, and it was really hard. So it's more external relationships that helped me. You know, going to therapy was incredibly helpful. Feeling like you're in a safe space as well was incredibly helpful. But you know, it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think we all need to be mindful about relationships, because I know now how hypersensitive I am, and how much I receive, you know, the energies from other people. And if I'm with the wrong people, I am drained and I'm exhausted, and I just soak in, you know, negativity, sadness, or whatever is going on. Yeah. And I just need to be careful of that. But now I'm aware.
Yeah.
You know?
It's what it's about, though, isn't it? It's having that awareness, that self-awareness of when something's not right. And I think you've touched on this already, and I think it's such an important part, is when something's not right, is doing nothing about it doesn't change it. You know, and if you're struggling and you don't actually address it or don't do anything, you're just going to continue to struggle. If you're feeling lonely and isolated and you don't do anything about it, you're going to continue. And sometimes it is hard because you don't have those people. So relationships now for you, and in terms of, you know, friends and family and everything else around you, how is that now? Is that changed? Do you see a different dynamic with that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely changed. It changed. I am more able to be honest, transparent, talk about my feelings. I mean, I'm here talking about my story. It's a big deal.
Yeah, of course. And I love that. I think it's great. Thank you.
For me,
yeah.
Hi, mom and dad.
Yeah.
But I learned how to be more vulnerable and be okay with it, especially with my family, because I was struggling mostly with my family to cry, to have difficult conversation and all of these things.
Oh.
But I've learned as well of finding a community.
Okay.
And this is the thing I learned recently, to be honest. So that shows, you know, I haven't all figured it out.
No.
At all. Like,
none of us do, by the way. It wouldn't get to my age. You haven't figured it out. I've got no idea what I'm doing still.
I'm not coming here to say you should do this and that. I'm learning. Okay.
So, oh yeah, of course. It's a journey. Yeah.
Yeah. And the community side of the journey, I think I'm learning it now as well, because it's not perfect. But for a very long time, I thought I was an introvert, because every time I would be surrounded by people, I would be exhausted and I just can't, and I just need to go home. And everyone would say, it's weird, you don't seem like an introvert because you talk to people so easily. And, you know, I'm kind of like a personality and stuff. And then I realized, no, actually, I don't think I'm an introvert. I just think I'm not around the right people.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
And I learned that because I made new friends in London. When I moved to London, I didn't know anyone. And I did so many activities to meet people. I became friends with everyone.
London's a big place. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And that wasn't a good idea, because again, I would be sometimes surrounded by people that I didn't really match with. Nothing wrong with them, nothing wrong with me. It's just not a match. Yeah. Until I found people where I could spend hours and hours and hours with, just chatting and laughing and not feeling tired about it, not feeling like, oh, let me go home, please.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I thought, okay, actually, I don't think I'm an introvert, although I do like my own time, to be honest. But I just need to find the people that I connect with, because I receive, you know, the energy just works and I don't feel drained. And it's really hard to find, and it's really hard to understand it at first. So maybe me saying that will help someone understand it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure.
But it makes a huge difference, because, you know, when I was struggling with depression and I was feeling lonely, I had lots of friends. I had lots of friends, but I was struggling.
Yeah.
And now I don't have lots of friends, but the ones that I have, I feel good with. And it sounds simple, but it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's very important.
It's fascinating though, isn't it? If you think about friendships and how, you know, as you go through life, you'll change and evolve your friendships. Maybe you'll have one or two that, you know, will be there for a long term, but your friendship groups change, don't they? And actually, it's not about having lots of friends. It's about having quality friends who, you know, if you need to have a conversation, you can talk to and turn to, and that is important, because not everybody has that, of course. And it's, you know, I find I found it incredibly insightful listening to you tell your story, and thank you so much. We're coming to the end of this, and this is always the worst part, because it's like we have to try and limit the amount of time on these, unfortunately. But it's been a fascinating journey. I really do appreciate that. I'll throw it over to you in a second for any final thoughts, words you want to share, anything about what you do for your job. If you wanted to say anything, it's entirely up to you, of course, and your thoughts for where you want to head to the future. You know, the journey continues. That's the beautiful thing of this. It's not like the end, it's just continue, isn't it? But just thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for coming on here. So final thoughts from you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I really like what you just said. It doesn't end, it's endless. And I think that's what is so fascinating about it. And to anyone listening, it is really worth exploring your well-being and your mental health journey, because you're going to love yourself so much, which is the most incredible feeling ever.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel empowered, and life just changes, literally. You know, you could have so many negative things happening in a day, and suddenly you just don't care about it anymore, because you just have this natural flow of happiness. So really explore options. And the last thing I will say is, everyone's different. You know, I had my journey. I talked about meditation. I'm not saying everyone should meditate. Everyone is different, and just explore options for what works for you. That's, you know, it's not just about meditation. It's not just about going to the gym. Just explore anything that you can to really discover what well-being means for you personally. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm sure everybody listening is going to have loved hearing you talking so openly and candidly about everything. And you're right, it's not just about one solution. You know, what works for you doesn't work for me necessarily, but it works works for others in parts. And we always talk, I always talk about this: build your toolkit of things that you enjoy, the things that make you feel more content, the things that make you feel less stressed, and keep doing more of them. That's the reality, isn't it? So when you're sacrificing something, sacrifice the rubbish stuff and do the good stuff, the things you enjoy. Working those extra hours are great, but if you have to sacrifice the things that help you to relax and recover, it's never going to end up with anything positive coming out of that. But listen, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. As I always say at the end of this, if anybody is struggling with any of the content, any of the conversations that we've had, please know that you are not on your own. Emmanuelle's talked very openly about feeling alone and isolated and all those associated issues that came when she was struggling with depression. And if anybody out there is feeling those, those challenges, no, there is always somebody to talk to. There really is always somebody to talk to. I'm sure, Emmanuelle, you wouldn't mind if anybody asked you a question or wanted to know anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Honored.
Oh, but there you go. She would be honoured. So please, somebody ask. And also for me as well, if anybody needs to ask anything or wants to be part of this podcast and run an episode, we've got lots of these things going on. It's amazing. I just love it. I just get the chance to sit down and just listen to amazing humans talking about their journeys. But organisations like Samaritans exist today to help those conversations. 116-123 if you want to give them a call. If you don't like calling, you want to text somewhere, you can text to shout 85258, or there are many other resources out there. You are not alone. That's the most important message that we want to relay to you. Always know there's somebody there that cares. Really is. Thank you, Emmanuelle. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Wish you all the very best and everything else.
Thank you.
Take care.